Hello everyone, welcome to our field trip to Iceland. Have you got your travel buddy ready? Grab it, show it to the screen. Everybody show your travel buddy. Say hello, this is mine, this is Peter. Peter's been with me for 30 years, 3 decades. So he's not a young dog, but he is my loyal friend. So I hope you've got your travel buddy there. Maybe it's your sister or brother, maybe it's your mum or grandparent or guardian, or maybe like me, you've got someone like Peter. But grab your travel buddy because we are going to the world of Vikings and the hidden people, little elves. That's where we're heading off to today, Iceland. Do you know where Iceland is? I don't mean the place your mum goes and your dad goes for freezer food. I mean, although if you do look it up on the map, that is the first choice it goes to. I'm talking about the place of snow, ice, Vikings, and elves. We're going to have a lot of fun. Are you ready? Remember, we've got to strap in. If you've been on these before, give me a cheer if you've been on one of these before. Give me a wave with your travel buddy. Give me a wave. See here, Peter's been before. He's been before. If you haven't, don't worry. We're going to go on our mind bus. We've got to think of our bus. So I want you to spend a little time making the bus in your head. Think of your mind bus. We need to make it. Make your mind bus. Mine is a beautiful big green travel bus that we go on. It can have wings, it can have wheels, it can have a hoverboard, it can have anything you want, because we're going to get on our mind bus and we're going to fly to the capital of Iceland, Reykjavik. So is everybody ready? Because I know that the world is. Get ready. Let's go to Iceland. We'll zoom around there. Look. Whoosh. And we'll flow all the way in. And what we're going to be here is this is Reykjavik. Now, I will zoom back out so that you can see where it is. Reykjavik is the capital of Iceland there. It's on the coast. It's the country's largest city, but Iceland isn't a very big country. It's 300,000 people. That's not very many. That 300,000 people is a town in the UK. It's roughly half the size of Birmingham. So it's not even that big. Is anyone from Birmingham out there? If you're from Nottingham, it means there's more people in your city than there are in the whole of Iceland. 300,000 people, but they have 9 million tourists a year, which means there's only a 1 in 10 chance of you meeting someone from Iceland in Iceland. Isn't that crazy? Imagine walking through your town, and every 10th person was someone from your town. Wow, that's crazy. Let's go and have a look. Let's zoom down and look at what Reykjavik looks like. Now, Reykjavik is a city. It is the biggest city in Iceland. If we have a look around, it's very beautiful there. Look, here we go. Beautiful blue skies. This is taken only a few days ago, so we can have a look around. Now, Reykjavik, it was the first place settled by the Vikings when they landed in Iceland all the way from Norway and Denmark. They headed on over. You can see there's a lovely bay, and we'll be able to look out to sea when we look behind us. The beautiful blue sea over there. And up there, these are seagulls. But they don't just have seagulls in Iceland. No, Iceland is known for having puffins, little tiny black and white birds that fly a lot faster than seagulls. I can tell you that. Sometimes the seagulls will swoop down, you'll be like, oh, that's a seagull. And suddenly, puffin flies past your face at hypersonic speeds. It's terrifying, but it's beautiful at the same time. So this is Reykjavik. And I know it looks a little bit bleak and a little bit like there's nothing there. But let me tell you this. The whole of Iceland is powered by geothermal energy because they have lots and lots and lots of volcanoes. So it may look peaceful, it may look calm, but there's always the danger that a volcano's about to go off. That's pretty scary. Are you scared of that, Peter? He says he's scared. Like he's scared of that. It's okay, Peter. It's okay. They've got it under control because all of the electricity, or most of the electricity in Iceland, is brought to their houses, these ones over here, via geothermal vents. So they bring the energy up from the center of the earth and they send it down tubes all the way towards those houses over there, and it powers it. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mom and dad pay the bills. I don't care about energy. I understand that. So let's go somewhere a little bit more exciting. What do you say? Do you want to go somewhere a little bit more exciting? Let's see where we're going next on our field trip to Iceland. It's okay. I hope you've taken your travel sickness pills because we are off to Askja. Now, I said about Askja is an active volcano. It's somewhere you can actually bathe. You can go in this. I'm going to you'll see that little bit there just jump. I'm going to tell you a bit more about Askja now, because Askja is one of those places where you can actually go in there and bathe in an active volcano. Isn't that insane that you can drop into a volcano? It's actually called Askja Caldera. That's what this bit is, which I don't speak the language, but I think it means Askja cauldron, like volcano bit. It's a geothermal pool in the Kirkyofel mountains. Obviously, I speak very good Icelandic. It's not one for the faint-hearted, as you can see. Look at those people down there. Look, they're obviously very brave. They're standing on the edge of an active volcano. That one's got his shoe off, look. Just ready to dive in. How brave do you have to be? This is warm. It's 50 square kilometers in size, but I know that's what you're thinking, oh no, that doesn't look like that's big enough for that. And you'd be right, because that's not actually the cauldron. That is the cauldron there. You're not allowed to go in there. You can go in this little one down here, as you can see. But even then, see how small the people are down there. It's a 50 square kilometers in size, which is about 3 kilometers to a mile. So it's about 20 miles square. The surrounding mountain range was formed during volcanic activity, so it was all pushed up through the ground. All of these mountains here are all built from volcanoes being pushed up through the ground, and it was partly created by an eruption of burning ash that collapsed the roof of the central volcano's magma chamber. All of that sounds pretty exciting. It sounds like a boss fight in a video game, and that's exactly how Iceland was formed. Everything about this is exciting. Everything about it was so exciting that they filmed a lot of Game of Thrones and Thor here, and we're actually going to go and see those places that they filmed those things while we go on this tour. You're going to find loads of stuff that you've seen in movies, and you'll be like, hang on a minute, I've seen that. And you will. I can't show you those movies because it's illegal if I show you those movies on here, but you'll be able to watch them. I'll say their names so you won't know, but I'll say it so they don't tell me off. One of them is Thor the Bark-Durled. That's one of them. And Shame of Thrones. That's another one. You can go and look at those. It's the water in it, in Viti, is a geothermal pool and volcanic crater. It's around 30 degrees Celsius. The banks can be very slippery because it's all mud, but that means that it's about as warm as your bath. So you could go in here, but it is also very muddy. So I think that, would you like to go in there? I would. I'd give it a go. Let's see where else we've got to go. Should we head off around? Because there's lots of interesting places. As you can see, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but that sky looks dark, and we want to make sure that we get out of here before it rains. Let's see where we are next. We're going to zoom out all the way into the sky, and we're going to head down to Kirkyofel. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I can say these absolutely correctly because I'm not Icelandic and it's very hard to pronounce. But Kirkyofel is another beautiful area of Iceland. And while I bring up the information on that, let me have a look around. As you can see, there's little tiny towns and cities around the place in Iceland because, as I said, there's only 300,000 people. There's actually one horse for every person. There's 100,000 horses, and they used to use them as their main form of transport, and they still have. Every family has a horse, roughly. Obviously not every family, but 1 in 3 do. And actually the horses from Iceland are so well known that they're transported all over the world because of how strong and fast they are. And they have to be, because essentially they're their version of taxis. So this is Kirkyofel Mountain. It's a 2.5 hours drive outside of Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland. As you can see, we're standing on the top of it at the moment, so we can look around all over the place. You can look out to sea over there. If we're lucky, we might see a puffin. Keep an eye out. Look, there's more of those gulls. They followed us. Just keep your head down. Keep your head down. You don't want them swooping. And if you're holding any snacks, tuck them in. Tuck them in. The town down there is actually called Kirkyofel down there. This is Mount Kirkyofel. You'll discover small streams. You can see them all over the place here. During winter, this is a great place to watch the Northern Lights, which unfortunately, because it's daytime, we can't see. But it's also down there, you have like little tiny exhibitions and things about the Northern Lights. And you can stand here on the edge, look up to the sky, and you can see the lights pour across it, which is absolutely beautiful. So let's head back, because there is a wonderful Kirkhiel Waterfall. Kirkyofel actually means, that's what Foss means. So we're actually going to go and look at this now. Now, in Iceland, there are a lot of waterfalls, and this looks to be one of the smallest. There are huge amounts of giant waterfalls. Now, we're going to only get to look at a couple of these as we tour around Iceland, because we've only got a short amount of time, and Iceland is a massive country. Not many people, but a massive country. So as you can see, look, all of this water here, you think it comes from, you know, in England and places like that, it comes from underground springs that come up and they flood back to the, they come back to the sea, or rainfall. It goes up on a mountain, the snow melts and it falls down the mountain in runoffs. But a lot of these come from glaciers. So we'll see a glacier. We're actually going to walk on a glacier in a minute, where we get to walk across the snow. But this water here will either have come from rain coming from the top of the mountain, or a glacier. So ice that is thousands of years old, melting and reforming and melting and reforming. And actually, look, if we have a look around, you can see the mountains we've just come from up there. And that lady, very important tourist attraction, that lady. She's always there. What she does is she walks around in a red jacket just to make sure that everyone knows where they are. That's what she does. It's her job. Right, there she is up there. Look, there's two of them. You never know. You always need a spare, right? Right, moving on quickly. We're going to zoom out. Again, hold on to your travel buddy, because this is very fast. And now we're going to go to Scarterfell. Now, Scarterfell is where Thor, the Dark World, was filmed. So, as you can see, this is a beautiful waterfall. You get to see absolutely how big it is. You imagine we're standing up here looking up at Scarterfell. Water cascading down the side of the mountain. There you see a rainbow has formed. If you have seen Thor, the movie, this is where Thor actually got the visions of Heimdall and things behind it. It's very exciting. But this waterfall has also been used in other places, like Game of Thrones and lots of different movies. In fact, Iceland has a lot of places where they have a lot of different movies. And as you can see, you go across here and you can see how big and how many waterfalls and how much water there is. Look at how beautiful all of this is as we go across. I can't believe that we're seeing a rainbow this close up. Unfortunately, this person here just glitching out of reality. That happens for real. You've probably seen it in video games. That person there has only paid half price for this tour, so they only get to come halfway through. But it's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. Let's click, because I know for a fact that we've got many, many other places to go. And this is one of my favourite ones. Now, this is Vik. Vik is a very special place. Vik is one of those places where there is a big old myth. Now, Iceland is the world of myths. It's a country completely built on myths. In fact, it's so built on myths, the Government of Iceland, now you might know our government from such things as voting. We have a government, and they believe in facts sometimes, and they make laws and rules, and they pay the police and they pay the nurses, and that's what our government does. They keep everything running in the country. Now, in Iceland, they do the same. However, they also have a department of hidden people, Alfros, and those hidden people, I think it's called Hinderfolk. And those hidden people are elves. And they actually, all over the place in Iceland, have these little rocks that they're not allowed to go around. They have to build roads around those rocks because they are sacred places to those Hinderfolk. And if a baby goes missing or a person goes into the wilderness, they say it's because they've gone off to live with the elves. And they actually have, in the government, a department of Hinderfolk. How excellent is that? There is a department in the Icelandic government who look after elves, and everything centres around myths and legends in Icelandic culture. It's brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. Because this we're looking at here is Vik. So this is a beautiful black sand beach. It's not a trick of the light. This is black sand. It's made by magma and ash and all of this. It's absolutely, when you go there, while we're here, you'll see that all of the sand is black. Now, they do have normal mud and earth and rocks, but this sand here and every sand on all the beaches is black from the volcanoes. But this here specifically is Vik. Now, the town of Vik is over here. As you can see, it's quite a small little town with a little church up on the hill. Beautiful area, absolutely lovely. But these over here, that we'll zoom in on, those are the trolls of Vik. Okay? They're the trolls of Vik. Now, the trolls of Vik they're just outside the tiny town of Vik where we've been. The population is just over 300 people over here. Look, just over here. There's just over 300 people there, which is about as many people as you're allowed to see in school in your bubble. That's exactly how many you're allowed to see. They're just over 300, and this is a black pebble beach called Rain Sifara. Towering hexagonal basalt columns tower up. That's what these are over there. And they're 216 feet tall, which is massive. Houses are between 30 and 40 feet tall. And if you think that these are 216, so some of these are like 4 or 5 houses tall, they jut out, and they're called Rains Drangar. They jut out the turbulent North Atlantic Sea, which is what you're looking. And according to Icelandic folklore, these pillars actually used to be trolls while dragging a huge 3-mast ship all the way towards land. The trolls were taking too long to reach the shore, and at the break of dawn were instantly turned to stone. Even today, it is believed that if you drive by the cliffs and near these towering columns, you can hear their wails and moans as long as they long for their home in the mountains. Now, isn't that both scary and a bit cool, isn't it? It's a bit cool. So I absolutely love the myths and legends of Iceland. Where are we heading next? So let's have a look. We'll zoom back out. That was Vik the Trolls. Now we're going to head back down here to Vatnajökull. Now this is, I can't actually say this word. I will try my best. But this is a fantastic area. And the reason I brought us here is because, first of all, it's very beautiful. If we have a look around here, we can see that this is a fantastic, lovely area. Again, you can see the black rocks and the black sand and the black soil that's from all of the volcanic activity on the island. But the reason I have actually brought you to the area is that in winter, this is absolutely covered in snow and ice. And it's completely, not just covered, but completely caked in it. This is actually a national park, and it covers about 14% of Iceland, which is a massive proportion. Imagine that the entirety of Scotland was covered in ice and snow for half of the year, and that's what you're looking at percentage-wise of the United Kingdom compared to Iceland. It's Europe's second largest national park, but in this park is Europe's largest glacier. Now, do you know what a glacier is? Do you know what a glacier is, Peter? Yes, that's right. It's the guy that comes and puts windows up. That's right. But also, a glacier is a large chunk of ice that covers a massive area. And sometimes we see them like icebergs, where chunks get pushed out into the sea and they're a giant chunk of ice that drifts through the water. But now, here in this park, we're going to see a real one that's actually still all together. The most interesting thing about this glacier is that under it conceals some active volcanoes. So I don't want you to be scared, but I want you to hold on tight to your travel buddy, because we're about to go and stand on some very, very thick ice, about 400 to 600 meters in thickness. So a very, very thick, that is covering up active volcanoes. Now, count to 3, and then we'll zoom over there. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, hold on. And here we are on an actual glacier in Iceland. Now, under here, there is active volcanoes. So all of this on the floor, this isn't mud, it's not rock, it's not stone, it's not pebbles, it's not sand. This is ice. 400 to 600 meters in thickness. Kilometers of ice covering up an active volcano. It has to be. When something that hot is covering it, has to be thick ice. And you can see it's a beautiful area still. This isn't the greatest of photos because it's very hard to take pictures around this area. But this has also been used in a lot of movie. It's also, I think if we're lucky, I think I've got a picture on the next one. I think we're about to dive underneath it. So give me a second and let's have a look. If we aren't, then I'll be taking us to somewhere else. But I believe, if we're lucky, yes, we can look underneath the glacier. I was right. Look, this is underneath. You can see how beautiful this is underneath glacier. Now, this is incredibly rare. You don't get to see things like this all the time. We especially don't get to see this outside in England, but we do get to see it inside sometimes when our nan is defrosting her chest freezer. So have a look now and just look at the you can understand why the people in Iceland believe in elves, can't you? When you look at a place like this, you can absolutely imagine elves living and creating magical world down here amongst and away from all of the folk. Look how beautiful it is. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm hoping that I have got something for you to have a look at in a second that will absolutely blow your mind, because one of the biggest things, we've got the elves and the ice caves, but one of the biggest things in Iceland is whale watching. Now, we can't actually go there and see whales because we aren't there at the moment, but we can see if someone else has seen whales. So, we've had a look at this beautiful ice cave. Let's go and look at what the other wonders of Iceland are. As we zoom out, we head over to somewhere. This is a geyser, but we're going to head out and we're going to look at someone going on an actual expedition to see real whales. That says whale watching, but what it actually is searching. Now, when I went whale watching, this isn't me. When I went whale watching, as you can tell, it looks very similar. I went whale watching, we spent hours and hours looking for whales, and I had a video of it, but it was so many hours that I thought we'd just cut it down and we'd use it. Now you can see the beautiful ground. It's very hard. This person obviously very excited to see it. We're going to go out onto the water. Whales come around for about 6 months of the year. They come around into Iceland to breed and create more whales, and you can go on expeditions out to see all of them. Now what we're about to see is, again, quite hard to see anywhere else in the world, but can you see off in the background? That is a humpback whale. A humpback whale, they come up, they're a beautiful creature, and you only get to see them every now and then in your lifetime. And I think at this moment, we just have to realize how big they are. They are the size of boats. That is chasing that boat. Look at the size of it there. It's going alongside that boat because they're a show-off. You know, it's not just your Uncle Tim who's a show-off. It's also these whales. There are show-offs in nature. This woman's excited. There's also in nature. Now, these whales know that they've got to put on a show. This one here, he wants to be a stand-up comedian when he's older, and you should hear some of his jokes. They're really good, right? I'm going to tell one of them now. It goes like this. Who's there? Who? I don't know who. It's a great one. It's a great one. I mean, you had to be there, but it's a really good one. It's a really good one. But whales are a very important part of Icelandic culture, and they're actually protected in Iceland because they were fished to almost extinction and then brought back from the brink to the point where now these people can get excited about them, which is absolutely lovely. So we don't need to hear that man talk. He is absolutely fine on his own. But the whales are a very important part of Iceland. But I also want to show you one of the other natural wonders that only could be seen in Iceland, and that is the Geyser. Now, there are lots of geysers around the world. There's Old Faithful in Yellowstone Park, which is a giant geothermal vent filled with water. And what happens is that water gets superheated and is fired into the air. Now, on the map here, we have a lovely picture of it. This is where it is here. You can see all around, but that doesn't quite show off what actually happens. And I have also made sure that you get to see that by preparing a video for that as well, because I feel like a lot of this could be expressed through pictures, but you want to see the real thing, don't you? You want to see it pump. Now, what happens, you'll see it in a minute. You'll see it get ready, and it's almost like it's breathing, like it's a real creature. You see the ground go. You'll see it. I'm going to show you now. We'll go across here. So this is the hot springs. We'll go to the beginning of here so that you can see actually what it looks like. Now, this is what it looks like from the outside. You can absolutely see how beautiful it is and how magical it is as we go around. The steam coming off, how hot that water is. It's boiling. That water is so hot, it's boiling. Look, all of that is methane. If you've ever smelled eggs or, you know, your dad's blamed it on the dog, that's what that smell is. You can actually, you'll be able to, get out, Rover. You know, that's what the same smell is. Or if someone's left something in the fridge for too long, it's the same kind of smell. But what you can see here is the geyser. Now, if we look very closely, it's going to go off. We're going to have to keep watching. You'll see the ground pump a couple of times, then it will fire up into the air just like that. Look, it'll go a bit closer now. Keep going, keep watching, keep watching. All of that, you can see all of that is water vapor. Now, watch the ground as it goes. It goes up, and then it will come down a bit, and then it will fire up. So watch the water. It raises, it lowers, and then it fires. It's very, very cool. Look, it's like it's breathing like that. It's so cool. And then all of that, see, look, and then it fills the water back in. And then it does it again. Like that. That isn't man-made. It isn't anything other than the fact that this is the Earth's natural power being displayed in all its beauty. How cool is that? How cool is that? That exists in nature. And it's like there's a whale living under the Earth. The best thing about this is that due to these geysers, due to how they behave, it led Icelandic people back in the day to believe that there were evil whales. And there's all these different types of evil whales. They've named them. They've each got a specific name, and they each do specific things. Right now we don't have enough time to go into all of them, but they are absolutely fantastic. If you get a chance, have a look. Evil Whales of Iceland. Trust me, you and your travel buddy could spend hours finding out which evil whale is chasing you down, because they give you everything from hiccups to bad luck. Trust me, it's very fun. Right, and we haven't got long left on our tour, so I want to take you, we're only halfway through. Let's zoom out. This is a glacial lagoon. Now, a glacial lagoon we're going to, Jökulsárlón, is a lagoon that's been made from a glacier melting. So it's a big area of water that's made from all of the ice melting and drifting off into, you can see it from up above. You can see the glacier up to the top of the screen over there. That's over there, that's actually ice and snow compacted down again, but it's all blue. It looks gorgeous. So we're going to zoom down and we're going to have a look at it from the point of view of the lake, so the lagoon. So we're going to have a look around here. Look, so this, as you can see, is ice and snow melting into the lagoon. That camera there on his holiday there, just having a nice holiday. They call him the tripod because he's unstable. Now they're going around here, and look over there. Look, just over there. It's very lonely, but also stunningly beautiful. You can see all these people having a lovely time, and under there, apparently, a shark with a laser on its head. But it's nice that they were on holiday at the same time. But this is all glacial runoff. So these are all the glacier that's melting. Now again, there's a very rare picture which I was very lucky to find, and it's under the glacier. Does anyone want to see what it looks like underneath this glacial lake? Because this is a lake on top of ice, which is just mind-blowing. And it's not an excellent picture, but it is beautiful. And look, once again, here we are underneath the ice, underneath a lake, underneath the ice. And it's just beautiful. Just that man, not so much. Not so beautiful. Look, just don't look at him. He's hypnotized. Yeah. His name's Derek. He's recently said that he just needed to take time. There's his mum. They're just going out together. But you can believe that there's magic in the world when you see something like this. There is. Anyone that says there isn't magic in the world, they're not looking hard enough, are they? Because there it is, right there. Now, we're going to rush out from under here. Hold on to your travel buddy, because this is going to be fast. And we're going to go to Drangi. Now, Drangi is not the prettiest of area. Drangi Island. It's a small volcanic island, so we'll have a little spin around it. Look there, we'll have a little spin. It's got sheer jutting cliffs. It's home to a wide variety of birds, such as puffins and guillemots. Now, guillemots are like... guillemots are more like seagulls. But it's also well known as the place of refuge for one of Iceland's most famous Vikings, Grettir the Strong Asmundarson, the longest surviving outlaw in the history of Iceland. And I thought that was very exciting for you. He lived on Drangi Island for 3 years before being able to return to civilization. Legend tells tale of a man who visited the island to hunt birds to collect their eggs. So shall we see the island from offshore? Who were sent plummeting to their death by the hands of a demon who inhabited Drangi, which is over there. The patron saint of Iceland, Gudmundr the Good, was called upon to bless the island. Afterward, Gudmundr came across the Greek demon who said even evil must have a place to live. The demon was granted a small area of the cliffs, now called Heathen Cliff, the area is no longer used for hunting or egg picking for that reason. So they believe, the Icelanders believe, that over there on Drangi is where the demons live. I thought that was very interesting. But at least we know where they are, don't we? We don't have to worry about them being under our bed when we know that they're over there. Very far away. Very far away. Peter, does that calm you down a little bit? Yes, he does. He gets scared of demons sometimes, but that's okay. It's because he's slightly related to one 3 times removed on his mum's side. So, right, let's head off. Let's see where we're going next. We are heading off to... we might have to cut this short because I don't know how much. Oh, this is my favourite one, Dimmu. So, Dimmu Borgir is... all of this here is cut out of the rocks. So it's a beautiful area of Iceland that's all of these... You see all of these caves, all of these grooves, everything you see here is made by magma coming out of volcanoes and pouring through the lakes and pools around Iceland into this area. So all of this is magma rock, and it was carved as it flowed through, but it's got a great story behind it. It's in northern Iceland, and it's a unique rock formation. Their dramatic formations serve as the backdrop for a dark mythological tale. It's called the Dark Castles. It's thought to be the home of Grillia, the half-troll, half-ogre. Her 13 children, known as the Yule Lads as in Christmas, mischievous Icelandic renditions of Santa Claus. In the 13 days leading up to Christmas, children around Iceland leave their shoes in the windowsill and receive gifts if they've been well behaved. Those who have been naughty receive only a rotten potato and might be snatched by the lads and cooked for Grillia's dinner. Grillia also owns a large black cat who eats only once a year. It waits until all the children unwrap their Christmas gifts and then eat anyone who didn't receive a piece of clothing. So everyone gets a piece of clothing in Iceland. That's it. And all of this is where they live. So I've taken 3 pictures of this for us all to see how different it looks. So all of her 13 children live around this area. And as you can see, it's very, very likely that they're there right now. So we should probably hurry away very quickly. Otherwise, we're going to be very scared. Where are we heading to now? We are heading out, and then we are coming back down. Oh, now this is something I wanted to show you because this is a beautiful black sand beach. But it's not just any black sand beach. This is a beautiful area of Iceland where they have geometric columns that come up of the ground, which are formed as magma flows under it and pushes the earth out of the ground. It forms so quickly that the crystals form, but we can't really see it. Now over there, they're over there. We can't really see it. So should we leap forward so that we can see it a bit easier? Using the magic of technology, we'll just make sure that we can see it. There, look, absolutely gorgeous. Now these were believed to have been formed by magic and wonder, and of course, look at them, but they're actually natural formations formed in high magma areas, pushed up out of the ground, and you can actually see that they run all the way up the mountain, and they're all like this. You can see the lines as it goes up, as one layer pushes the next layer up further and further, creating an even taller mountain every time there's volcanic activity, and there has been a lot of volcanic activity. And this is just on the other side of the mountain from Vik, where those 3 trolls were. In fact, if we look over here, we can see in the distance, there they are. Absolutely beautiful. And again, that camera is just following us everywhere we go. He's just lonely. He needs a friend. This is what happens if you feed strays. I'm just saying. Leave the camera. Don't feed him. He'll find his own way home. Right, and now we'll fly out of here. Where are we heading to next? We are going to head all the way. Oh, now I promised you waterfalls. Now this is Scarterfell. Scarterfell is one of the only you can see it from their main road. Now the main road in Iceland is called the Ring Road. That's because it goes all the way around Iceland. It's their main road. It goes all the way around, and you can travel all the way. You can travel all the way around Iceland on it, and all of the geothermal pipes follow the road. And you can actually see it if we look over there. I'm not going to show you a road. It's not the most exciting of things, but you can see it over there. But Skarkovos, the wind blows so hard sometimes that the waterfall flows back up, because the wind blows all the way so hard up the mountain that it blows the water back up. And it's not actually flowing up, but it does look like it is from the road. And also, this is the only one I could find where I can show you behind a water. And I thought that would be a fascinating thing for you to see, because this here is what it's like behind a waterfall. As you can see, it's got your own little world. And you can absolutely see that the Icelandic people would believe in hidden folk. Because there's one there. There he is. Behind the waterfall. Just look how small they are. You think this is a normal human. Hidden folk. Normal human. Elves. There they are. Does Peter believe me? He doesn't believe. But they're real. They're true. They leave gifts. Now, we're coming to the end of our adventures in Iceland. It's been wonderful taking you around, but I want to show you something amazing first. We're going to head to somewhere very special. Very, very special indeed. And I'm going to show you something. I'm going to tell you a little story. Now, this is Scarterfell Glacier. Scarterfell Glacier is a movie. This moves. This is a glacier that moves. So it doesn't move very fast, but it does look like it does. If you look, it's all ice, all compact. As we said, we saw a glacier earlier, and it melts gradually and reforms and melts gradually. And you can walk up and down it, and it's absolutely stunning. Flows down, and you can actually see down at the bottom of the hill, you can actually see where it's melting and becoming a pool. But this isn't what I want to show you. What I want to show you is the ice cave at Scarterfell. Now, the ice cave at Scarterfell there isn't a very good photo of it. This is an excellent photo. I'm going to take you down into the ice cave at Scarterfell. But this is the best photo I could find of it, which isn't very good. And that's because it's underground. And they don't like you taking a lot of photos. And I thought, well, that's not very fair for my field trip. Surely we should be able to do something better than that. And I did. I found something better than that. I found a beautiful video of the cave. What I'm going to do is I will show you this video while I tell you the story of the great white bear and the trolls, which is a real fairy tale from Iceland. So this here is an ice cave in Scarterfell in Iceland that's real, that's been formed out of ice from a glacier over thousands of millions of years. You can walk down there, and these people will have walked down there. And I'm going to show you where magic was made. And I'm going to tell you the story, while you watch that, of a man and his big white bear who stay in the same house as a gang of scary trolls. There was once a man in Finnmark named Halvor who had a great white bear, and this great white bear knew many tricks. One day the man thought to himself, "This bear is very wonderful. I will take it as a present to the King of Denmark, and perhaps he will give me in return a whole bag of money." So he set out along the road to Denmark, leading the bear behind him. He journeyed on, and after a while he came to a deep dark forest. There was no house in sight, and as it was almost night, Halvor began to be afraid he would have to sleep on the ground with only the trees overhead for a shelter. Presently, however, he heard the sound of a woodcutter's axe. He followed the sound, and soon he came to an opening in the forest. There, sure enough, was a man hard at work cutting down trees. And wherever there's a man, thought Halvor to himself, there must be a house for him to live in. "Good day," said Halvor. "Good day," answered the man, staring with all his eyes at the great white bear. "Will you give us shelter for the night, my bear and me?" asked Halvor. "And will you give us a bit of food, too? I will pay you well, if you will." "Gladly would I give you both food and shelter," answered the man, "but tonight, of all nights in the year, no one may stop in my home except at the risk of his life." "How is that?" asked Halvor, and he was very much surprised. "Why, it is this way. This is the eve of St. John, and on every St. John's Eve all the trolls in the forest come to my house. I am obliged to spread a feast for them, and there they stay all night, eating and drinking. If they found anyone in the house at that time, they would surely tear him to pieces. Even I and my wife dare not stay. We are obliged to spend the night in the forest." "This is a strange business," said Halvor. "Nevertheless, I have a mind to stop there and see what these same trolls look like. As to their hurting me, as long as I have my bear with me, there is nothing in the world that I am afraid of." The woodcutter was alarmed at this word. "No, no, do not risk it, I beg of you," he cried. "Do you spend the night with us out under the stars, and tomorrow we can safely return to our home." But Halvor would not listen to this. He was determined to sleep in a house that night, and moreover, he had a great curiosity to see what trolls looked like. "Very well," said the woodcutter at last. "Since you are determined to risk your life, do you follow yonder path, and it will soon bring you to my house." Halvor thanked him and went on his way, and it was not long before he and his bear reached the woodcutter's home. He opened the door and went in, and when he saw the feast the woodcutter had spread for the trolls, his mouth fairly watered to the taste of it. There were sausages and ale and fish and cakes and rice and porridge and all sorts of good things. He tasted a bit here and there and gave his bear some, and then he sat down to wait for the coming of the trolls, and as for the bear, he lay down beside his master and went to sleep. They had not been there long when a great noise arose in the forest outside. It was a sound of moaning and groaning and whistling and shrieking, so loud and terrible it grew that Halvor was frightened in spite of himself. The cold crept up and down his back, and the hair rose on his head. The sound came nearer and nearer, and by the time it reached the door, Halvor was so frightened that he could bear it no longer. He jumped up and ran to the stove. Quickly he opened the door. He opened the oven door and hid himself inside, pulling the door to behind him closed. The great white bear paid no attention, however, but only snored in its sleep. Scarcely was Halvor inside the oven when the door of the house was burst open and all of the trolls of the forest came pouring into the room. There were big trolls and little trolls, fat trolls and thin. Some had long tails and some had short tails, and some had no tails at all. Some had 2 eyes and some had 3, and some had only one set in the middle of the forehead. And one there was, and the others called him Long Nose, who had a nose as long and as thin as a poker. That's like a stick. The trolls banged the door behind them, and then they gathered around the table where the feast was spread. "What is this?" cried the big troll in a terrible voice, and Halvor's heart trembled within him. "Someone has been here before us. The food has been tasted and ale has been spilled." At once Longnose began sniffing around. "Whoever has been here is here still," he cried. "Let us find him and tear him to pieces."
"Here is his pussycat anyway,"
cried the smallest troll of all, pointing to the white bear.
"Oh, what a pretty cat it is! Pussy, pussy, pussy!"
And the little troll put a piece of sausage on a fork and stuck it to the white bear's nose. Stuck it to the white bear's nose. At that, the great white bear gave a roar and rose to its feet. It gave the troll a blow with its paw that sent him spinning across the room. He of the long nose had it almost broken off, and the big troll's ears rang with the box he got. This way and that, the trolls were knocked and beaten by the bear, until at last they tore the door open and fled into the forest, howling. When they had all gone, Halvor crawled out and closed the door, and then he and the white bear sat down and feasted to their heart's content. After that, the 2 of them lay down and slept quietly for the rest of the night. In the morning, the woodcutter and his family stole back to the house and peeped in at the window. What was their surprise to see Halvor and his bear sitting there and eating their breakfast as though nothing in the world had happened to them. "How is this?" cried the woodcutter. "Did the trolls not come?" "Oh, yes, they came," answered Halvor, "but we drove them away, and I did not think they will be troubling you again." He then told the woodcutter all that happened in the night. "After that beating they received, they will be in no hurry to visit you again," he said. The woodcutter was filled with joy and gratitude when he heard this. He and his wife entreated Halvor to stay there in the forest and make his home with them. But this he refused to do. He was on his way to sell his bear to the king, and that's where he would go. So off he set, after saying goodbye, and the good wishes of the woodcutter and his wife went with him. Now, the very next year, the woodcutter was out in the forest cutting wood, when a great ugly troll stuck his head out of a tree nearby. "Woodcutter! Woodcutter!" he cried. "Well," said the woodcutter, "what is it?" "Tell me, have you that great white cat with you still?" "Yes, I have. And moreover, she's had 5 kittens, and each one of them is larger and stronger than she is." "Is that so?" cried the troll in a huge fright. "Then goodbye, woodcutter, for we will never come to your house again." And he drew his head, and the tree closed together, and that was the last the woodcutter saw or heard of the trolls. After that, he and his family live undisturbed and unafraid. That is unfortunately the end of our trip to Iceland, the fantastical land of the Vikings and the elves. I hope that you have enjoyed yourselves on our trip. I hope that you and your travel buddy have had a good time. I know me and Peter have. Now say goodbye, everyone, because we're off. Let's get back on our field trip bus, get back on your mind bus, and we will head back to England. Thank you for joining us, everyone. Goodbye. Thank you.